Hey everyone, I'm back from my visit to the Museo Reina Sofia, one of the art museums in Madrid, which is pretty cool because I have a student ID in Madrid, which gives me free access to museums like that. It's something that, were I to choose to, I could go back again and again for free. But about halfway through that museum, I wasn't really sure I would like to have gone back. While I was there, my distaste for modern art really started to come out. I was walking through the exhibit that was from 1960 to today, and there were just big iron blocks, little squares. There were some people that were doing yoga and crap, and then they decided to just like fall on top of each other for no apparent reason. That was stupid. I ended up just I'd walk into a room. If it had anything like that in it, I would immediately walk out, head to the next room. Modern art doesn't take any of the talent that it takes to make some of the photorealistic stuff you can see out there today, any of the brilliant, inspiring, epic landscapes you saw in the Renaissance. That's 500 years ago, guys. Come on, try to keep up. But for whatever reason, I'd find myself walking into a room, and if it was made by someone famous, Joan Miro is kind of my go-to guy at this bit. I would try to find some sort of value in it, even though had I not looked at the name card, I would have dismissed it immediately. I realized through that I kind of had my own biases. I was going to go look at the art, and if it was by someone I had heard of before, I would try to redeem it. I would look at it, not take the value of the art at face value and say, well, it must mean more because I've heard of this guy. And it really got me to the point where I started asking, where do I go from here? Like, what am I doing if I'm walking into a room, looking at a name tag, being like, okay, I'm going to like this thing, and then looking at it and forming my opinion off of that? What am I doing? So I kind of took a walk through the entire place again. I think I crystallized my beliefs down into this. There is an inherent value and an inherent meaning in an artwork, and that meaning is tied to what the artist was trying to convey, what the artist was trying to get across. For example, if you have a painting in front of you and it's painted to commemorate some sort of event, that makes it more valuable than had someone sat down and painted the exact same thing, but they're just like, oh, I don't know, I'm just gonna paint something today. And that's why I appreciate when museums put those little cards up that'll say, well, this was painted after such and such war, it was made to commemorate such and such victims, the artist had a personal connection because of X, Y, and Z. I really appreciate that because it gives you an insight into what the painting was actually intended to do. My favorite example of that was Salvador Dali. The context in which you find Salvador Dali. The Surrealist movement didn't quite start with Salvador Dali. I actually saw a couple Salvador Dali pieces before I got to the Surrealist exhibit. I thought I liked this guy. This is kind of crap. But Surrealism really started out as kind of a vague, hazy, ethereal sort of thing. This is not realism. This is something weird and strange and alien. But the painting was not done in a realistic manner. Salvador Dali said, look, let's take what we see in our dreams, these vivid, wild hallucinations, and paint them in all of the scary detail that we remember them by the next morning. And so, armed with his knowledge of Sigmund Freud and interpretation of dreams, he began to paint vivid, realistic insanity. And I think that's fantastic that he had that sort of thought process behind it. It certainly appeals to me more than a large red rectangle. And so I kind of gathered up all of my thoughts, all of my biases, everything I'd seen that day. And I thought one more thing. I thought some of these paintings, I look at them, and it doesn't matter who they're by, it doesn't matter what the subject matter is. Sometimes the art is just cool. I like looking at it. I think that to downplay that is a terrible, terrible suggestion. Art is made to convey a message. Art is made for various purposes, but if it entertains, if it is aesthetically pleasing, more power to it. But in conclusion, I came to the realization that art, like music, is full of many talented individuals who can produce masterpieces. Some people will still like art, and some people will still like music that takes very little talent to create. However, no one is really wrong. There is still a huge part of art appreciation that is subjective. However, Even if an extremely talented artist is not subjectively my style, I should strive to appreciate their mastery of the genre they've chosen, even if I don't enjoy it. It's still the culmination of their efforts over the years and a monument to their talent. I think I'm really going to start appreciating modern art more. Not enjoying it, because it's still stupid, but I'll appreciate it. One last bonus bit, I'd like to talk about Guernica. Guernica is a big old mural, and they place it in its own room, and I really enjoy it because Cubism, unlike most of modern art, is something that I really appreciate. But in a lot of Cubist works, you see it and it's a gimmick. There is no content to the painting besides, look at me, I'm Cubism. The idea of Cubism, the creation of Cubism, is fantastic. The first 2 or 3 Cubist works were brilliant, but you've got to take it somewhere. It's like science and technology. If you discover a new element, if you discover a new species, well, that's all well and good. But how can we use it? How can we take this knowledge that we have and create something with it? The creation of Cubism was brilliant. We discovered a new form of art, but how can we use it? And I think the use of Cubism to show pain, like in Guernica, just the twisted, chaotic mess, was only aided by the technique of Cubism. It made everything that much more disorganized. It made everything that much harder to recognize, and made everything that much more gruesome and distasteful, and a stark reminder of what this is all about. And so that, I think, is a redeeming quality of any form of art, even the modern art, which I profess to hate. If you can take that vehicle and do something brilliant with it, then you've got a winner.